Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 6th edition of the Blue Table Talk. Brought to you by your favorite bank, Standard Bank. My name is Pilar Dlamini, but my friends call me PhD, and for the purposes of this evening, we'll take it at PhD. We are speaking all things cybersecurity awareness this month. It's the month of November, and it's a National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We are live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, and we're live on Twitter. We are in the cyberspace. I'm in the studio tonight with SMEs or subject matter experts, Banfula Batiko cyber security in the Kingdom of Eswatini. And at this point, I would just love to introduce them to you, or rather let them introduce themselves. We have a rose amongst some thorns here, and I'm going to start with the rose at Etule, and then I'm going to pick which thorn I start with, and then we get right into it. Over to the rose.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Nokuthula Hlophe. I work for Eswatini Communications Commission as the IT engineer, and I am part of a team that is responsible for running with national cybersecurity awareness initiatives.
Thank you and welcome, Nokuthula. I will start with the gentleman on my far end, Naya Adetful.
The less thornier one. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Andile Masego is my name. Currently working with MTN Eswatini, where I'm part of a team as well, which looks after information security. Pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
Welcome, Andile, and thank you for joining us. And then last but not least, may I please have our last guest introduce himself.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, PhD and guests. Libitonging Deepo Ngwakashabalala. I work for Standard Bank, Eswatini. I'm part of a team that is responsible for management of protection of the bank's information and systems.
Thank you. Welcome, guys, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time to be with us this evening. Viewers at home, as you've heard, we have experts here from the regulatory body. We have experts from the mobile telephone company, and we also have experts from the bank. And this evening, if you have any questions, comments, or queries or concerns, please post them online. May I please encourage you to ask all the difficult questions so that we can have, all the juices coming out of our experts and give you some of the responses if time permits. But we'll get right into it, and I'll start with the rose. So November is Cyber Security Awareness Month in Eswatini, and we'd love to hear what it's all about and if there are any activities that have been happening throughout the month and why those activities in particular even.
Okay, thanks, Pilar. So November is our National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. I know a lot of people are wondering why we have November as the awareness month, but Eswatini is unique. So obviously we had to choose something different, and we chose November. So we've been running this since, I think this is the 4th year we've been doing this, and I'm happy to say that it is picking up. We have a lot of people talking about cybersecurity during the month of November. But it is not really, I wouldn't say we should just leave it to November. It's a continuous thing. So this year, our theme is a safe cyberspace for everyone. We just want to encourage everybody to be responsible as they use social media or as they use digital platforms. And then we also want to capacitate them so that they know how to respond if there is a cyber threat or if they think they are being, hacked or something. So that is what we're all about. So what we normally do is we have target groups. So, and we based this year's theme on a report that we got from Royal Eswatini Police, so where they listed the common cyber crimes in the country. One interesting one, which I didn't think was a problem in the country, is cyberbullying. So we looked at cyberbullying and we were like, no, we need to go and talk to the kids. So we are going around the country, visiting schools, talking to them about acting responsibly as they use social media. And then our vulnerable groups, which are bomage bethu, bokoko bethu, la sebakhulile. We've had a lot of issues, a lot of incidents being reported. Mobile money, vele bayanokwa, it's happening. So most of them don't even know what to do. Nakashayelwa umuntu athi yeko konke lunginike ipin yakho ya mobile money. labanye vele fall victim. So we've partnered with MTN, thank you MTN, Eswatini Mobile and the DPM's office. Sihamba nabo siye emakhaya etinkhundleni sibafundzise bogogo nabomkhulu about what to do as they use lama cell phones nabo mobile wallets. And then lokunye leskwendako is we cannot leave professionals out of it. So we've introduced a course. It's a free course that you can enroll in. If you want to know more about cybersecurity, please go onto the ESCOM website. You will find more details, or my social pages etu, you will get more detail regarding that course. It's free of charge, and you are going to get a certificate. Now it's a Cisco course, so I go to Ranong Nuktula. So at least it will count for something. So there are quite a number of activities, but the highlight of this month is we were able to launch a national cybersecurity strategy that we've been waiting for quite a while, which actually gives us direction as a country on what to do and the roles all of us have to play to ensure that we...
Wow, interesting. That's quite a lot. It's quite a lot. And speaking of bullying, and speaking about Bantla Batsala, you know, also getting, you know, I know for a fact that this year we had an act that was enacted into law, and of course the newspapers reported about it, and there was an entire, you know, response, because I think the focus was mostly on social media and social media on the website, and I'm pretty sure people are saying, as Fungwe, and there's a law that we're not reading, but we are governed by that law. So what is the scope of the law? Is it just social media?
No, Pilar. The scope of the Act is quite wide, and I would encourage everyone to actually read, because so, for instance, there are issues around illegal interception of data. That's not social media per se, but it is a crime. Kunema issues, I've logged onto someone's computer illegally. Not on yes, it is a crime. And then the other issue, which, well, as I was preparing for this and that I actually noticed, is sending pornographic pictures and stuff to people. It is a crime if that person hasn't given you consent. So nibobona ke khaya singasendelani nje ngingakavumi funa sivumelane ukuthi siyasendelana ngoba utawukhanza uboshiwe. So there are quite a lot of offenses on the act, and I would encourage everyone anganoti khanza sekaboshelwe lide. They say what, ignorance of the law, yeah, is not an excuse. So please read the act. Maningi lama offenses, and they are very clear. Some will shock you, but yes. And the fines are quite hefty, from 100,000 imprisonment, 2 years. And then the highest, I think, fine is a million. So ngicela nibofunza singati khanzi sesiboshiwe.
Wow, and I think, you know, if there's one act that we should read, I'm not saying the others are not important, but looking at how, you know, we live our lives these days, we're on social media, we're on our phones and our gadgets, all 24/7 really. I mean, even for work purposes, we're on these gadgets, and we are breaching so many of these, I'm pretty sure. Some of us are in WhatsApp groups where you open something and you are shocked, and you haven't given consent, you know, so now I can actually go to the cops and say, hey, Andile sent this to the group, and the entire group can open a case against you, I'm pretty sure, you know. Wow, and that's just one implication, Deepa, but there's other implications of weak, you know, cybersecurity sort of systems and programs. I think from a financial perspective, but also from a data perspective, there's many implications, and I wonder, Deepa, from you, whether you think as a country we are well equipped for cybersecurity issues.
Well, if we speak well equipped, I'd say we're chasing a moving target. I can confirm, Gutsi, since we had a regulator, we've seen quite a lot of shift to the positive. We're talking about these pieces of legislations. They have been put, they talk to different people. Kukona la kulumisa tsine as people, individuals, but ikona la place a responsibility on us as corporate entities. One of them that came into law it speaks data protection and the responsibility that us as entities have to protect its data in a customer etu, use it responsibly for what we are using it for, etc., etc. And it also places certain responsibility of notifying the regulator of these things. Because if you are talking about e-readiness to okay, from a cybersecurity space, if we're talking about are we well equipped, you're talking about a lot of things. There is the legislative part and regulation, but also if you look at cybersecurity or cybercrime, some of it is not just targeted to individuals or organizations. Some of it is targeted at states. And if you are targeting a state, you can target directly the government entities, but that would not necessarily be the route. You'll find one of the other routes is to direct attacks at strategic industries. Banking in any country is one of the strategic industries. Telecommunications, it's a strategic industry. There are also other assets of or those that are listed or are taken as key strategic key points in any country. It could be an airport, it could be infrastructure, Bogesi, Mandi, and that. So at those levels, there are those types of attacks, and it then calls for a coordinated response and capacity that is coordinated centrally, but also at an industry level. And then within organizations, there is also technical level response that should happen. And then also at an individual level, there is also that requirement. So at these different levels, there is something that we need to do, and we are seeing that there has been a shift from a legislative point of view. Within organizations, in our small pockets, there are activities that we do at Standard Bank to equip our staff, as well as to protect the systems. I'm sure other organizations, MTN and them, are also doing the same. But do we then get to a space where we are then coordinated to actually assist each other and also to share intelligence, threat intelligence, wherein you find an organization in Eswatini experiences a cyber breach that organization B experienced some 3 years ago. That speaks to us not having shared sufficiently what happened to me and how, without divulging my secrets and internal classified information of organizations, what happened to our organization, what the modus operandi was, these were the attack vectors, and this is how we responded. So there's a lot. But also as individuals, before I work for Standard Bank, I am an individual. My protection of myself and my gadgets may have an impact on Standard Bank, especially now, since now we work from home, and that the terrain is quite different. It requires us to be nimble in terms of how we approach the whole subject matter.
Yeah. Wow, that's a mouthful. That's very interesting. I mean, I think what you're bringing out is the importance of the coordination, and all of us working together. As you're saying, the state is not just government; it's also all the other key areas of state, including businesses and other areas like the banks and all of that. I think lenguva gahle ngawe gopa nguthi indzaba yethu sonke. Ibisagimi as an individual, because even in these entities, it's individuals that are working there. In government, it's people that are working there. So if those people lose sight of just awareness in the cyberspace, then kanjalo nje seyifile and a threat comes in, and all of us are in trouble, because a lot is at stake, pretty much. And I think with all that we've said so far, maybe it's time we take a breather so everybody can think about this. Now, and as far as cybersecurity awareness is concerned, where are you? What are the things that are loopholes within your space, and what are the breaches that could happen because we're not so likely e-site somehow? So we're gonna have an ad break, and we're gonna come back shortly.
I know better than anyone the difficulty of running your own business. To have a client that has a demand for a product and you know just where to get it, and for a good price, somewhere overseas maybe. And the most difficult part about that being having all the money to pay for the product before you can get paid for it by your client. But you already know all of that. But did you know that with Standard Bank's trade finance solutions, you don't have to worry about that aspect of running your business. Because all the forex risk, the working capital finance you need, letters of credit or guarantees are covered by a partner you can trust, making it easy for you to do what you're good at, finding new ways to grow your business. End-to-end import solutions for your business? Not without trade finance solutions. Standard Bank, it can be.
Welcome back to the Blue Table Talk. It is the 6th edition, brought to you by your favorite bank, Standard Bank of Eswatini. I always chuckle when I speak about Standard Bank because I do believe this is the best financial institution in the country. Welcome back and thank you for joining us. It's the month of November. It's Cyber Security Awareness Month in the Kingdom of Eswatini, and we are speaking all things cybersecurity. If you've just joined us, you've missed out. But we still have more for you, so you will learn even more from our panel of experts here as we speak about your responsibility as an individual in as far as cybersecurity is concerned. Andile, I'm going to bring you into the conversation, and we're going to take business now. You know, and Deepo and Nokchula have said a lot from regulation point of view. Deepo has spoken about the state, you know, and the critical areas around the state as well. But now for companies specifically, why is it important for a business to have sound cybersecurity systems or programs even?
All right. Appreciation of. So I think it's information security professionals have a long way to catch up to the business, and all of the investments that have been made. You know, we're coming from a point where you can't even secure budget for security as a department because people don't recognize that as a formal department or a division where you can't justify an investment of 15 million a year. So I think having a cybersecurity program is one way to actually start selling value to the business in terms of what information security brings to the table. I think so many times we start having we actually look at information security as policemen in the organization, which shouldn't be the case, because I think we should be selling value in the sense that what our presence actually does in terms of benefiting the business and talking in that language that will benefit the business. So I think you need to have a sound cybersecurity program that will help you achieve that. I think it also touches on some of the strategic intents, initiatives, whatever you want to achieve. And I think it gives you an opportunity, for instance, if you're looking at your security posture in the organization, you will have specific gaps which are technical, you will have specific gaps which are maybe culture related, you know, so it zooms in on those different elements and allows you to apply something which will not only be technical controls, but sometimes you need to lobby for certain things that you want to achieve from your ExCo, from different stakeholders within the business. So I think it gives you the opportunity to look at that in a bigger picture.
Thank you. You know, I'm just going to, on your behalf, send a message to all the ExCos and CFOs out there and say, bottom line is good, but maybe I'll use a whole term and say, cybersecurity is gooder. So let's put in the money there because we've got a lot to gain, you know. A lot is at stake. I can only imagine what companies could lose if they have, you know, a breach in security in the cyberspace. I mean, I think we've seen some examples even in the international space. So thank you very much for bringing us in. I'm going to bring Deepo back into the conversation. I mean, earlier you spoke about the state, and I know you're not a statesman. So I want to bring it back into your industry. You know, banking has evolved over the years, man. Gone are the days where you came into a bank, saw somebody, now withdraw imali, akunike libhuku lakho usayina, akunike cash, wathi usiniwe andile le mali, na isho dealing andile. You know, now we're transacting online. You know, we've got mobile banking. We're transacting on EFT, which is online. We have platforms like Unayo, our favorite platform, you know, and I'm just wondering, as a customer, as a consumer, as a user of all of these technologies and all of that, what should I know about security in all of these? Should I even trust them, you know?
There is a lot of investment that is being placed technically to protect those platforms, and it's an evolving investment because every day and every now and then we are assessing loopholes potential loopholes that are there in these platforms. So should you trust them? I'd say yes, because we are conducting business in a responsible manner. Earlier on, ngikhulume nge Data Protection Act. With every piece of data that I have, including your transaction, there is a responsibility that I have. And if I lose your data, Noctula comes to us and actually may impose fines. So we have responsibility. We have the responsibility of ensuring that your data and your transactions and your transacting on the platforms is as safe as we possibly can have it to be. However, a lot of responsibility it falls on you when as a customer that uses these platforms, and the principles are the same. Ngacash wakho lo physical, uma ngabe unaye endlini awumthathe nje umbeke umshiye etafula ekitchen and uhambe uyolala. You will definitely take it back to your bedroom, umhide phasa amatrasi or laba labane ma-safe bamfake kuma-safe. The principle is the same. It's just that what has changed ukuthi, are you transacting with a physical cash? Normal cash ula kulolu cingo. I'll highlight a few things, and it's simple hygiene. Lucingo lwakho is where you bank. Una USSD star 120 hash. Une pin. Lucingo lwakho lune pin. Always make sure ukuthi you lock lucingo lwakho. Of course, I know it raises certain debates on whether me and my spouse should share phones. My spouse wants 24 access to phones. Well, that is your decision. But generally, what you advocate for is lock your phone, whether with a pin, but kungcono nangabe usebenzisa lokho biometric. Kulawo smartphones. But also le pin lo isebenzisa ku unlock lo cingo lwakho le screen. It should not be the same as le pin lo isebenzisa ku unlock your star 120 hash, because ku star 120 hash so une access to imali. Now, if somebody knows that pin, kuhamba kwalo cingo lwakho from your side, basically it means that person has access to all your money. And on these platforms, due to customer requirements, lama amounts that they can withdraw and send to other people, semaning. So lama financial losses are actually significant for an individual. It's the same thing about internet banking. Internet banking, kungathi ungavama kuyisebenzisa ku device yakho. Noma device ke lo i-trusta ko ke nangabe ude wena yakho, but ube ngilo yethembako. Lo ngayi customize ukuthi ikusebenzele wena. Le address ya ebanking.standardbank.co.za ditayipele noma uyibookmark. Ungathi uthole email from Noctula athi nayi access yakho to your internet banking, because ingakuthatha ikumikise kulenye isite. Leta ucishe ifane nale platform yalelo bhange lakho or yalo Standard Bank. There is a lot of that is happening, and kune investment lenkulu from cyber criminals to try and get access to your monies. It's the same principles lalapho uthenga khona online. Try to buy kuma reputable online stores. Uma ngabe itele reputation leyo online stores, please know ukuthi lokwendako the transaction yakho nguwe lo yendako transaction, and now ufika ebhange so une problem utawukhanza ukuthi like subsequent to that sekubena lamanye ama transactions utawukhanza ukuthi the bank cannot help you, because alibi nawe phela na ungena kuleso store Depot online shop ayisina protected. Sometimes itaba protected kuvamise kuba naloko sign kwenkanankana. Itaba protected ufake lapha ema details el card lakho. Yini lama details athingeka el card na wenda labo online banking? It's the full card number, it's the CCV, and that's it. Whomsoever longale, all that they need is just those two, and they will perform transactions. Ungekho utawakhanza endiwe transaction less endiwe Ukraine, endiwe Russia, endiwe Iraq and stuff. And just on a parting note on that, on the Ukraine-Russia issue, war, there have been a lot of transactions that are happening in East Europe, because states waging war against each other, they not only invest in the physical artillery, the war now is waged from all fronts, including the online, and war has to be funded. So you have a responsibility because lucingo lwakho alibe ngumahlale that's why baba umahlale ekhukhwini alihlale phela la kikini lingahambi ligijima yonke indzawo. If you are talking about mobile money, Nokutula was talking about mobile money earlier, bogogo nabamkhulu, they are very vulnerable because ngithi nebantu abethu labasita nyalo bogogo, especially because emasheke have been done away with in Swaziland. Mina nje ukuhike makwami every now and again fanele ukuthi ngihleke imfundisi, oh yeah, sister transita kanje. It's those type of things, but the whole purpose is be responsible for your own transacting and know ukuthi kutype emini lapha ungasebenzise ama links lotawathola from anyone.
Absolutely. Thank you for all of those warnings. Angunikele nje lithemba mshengo lami vele noma ngilala lihlale ekhukhwini. So you shouldn't worry about that. What I'm getting here is that the bank is accountable to the regulator, and the bank upholds that. The bank also is accountable to its own clients, for trust purposes, because you don't want to lose people's money because of your own negligence as the bank. But now, the biggest thing I'm getting is that I, as a consumer, I, as a person that is actually a customer of the bank and is using all of these platforms, has a bigger responsibility to ensure ukuthi ayilahleki ngakimi. Everything I do, my codes, my pins, everything is safe and secure, and I'm using trustworthy sites to buy online and all of that. Thank you especially going to the festive season, eh? Thank you so much. Yeah.
Black Friday.
And so, the facilitator for all of this, Andile, is our mobile telephone operators. All of this online things we're doing it because we have the internet. We have you guys as our service providers, and we want to think our data is going through you. Somehow you are part of the chain. How secure is the network? How do we know that our data is not compromised as we use all of these networks, and that nobody will just come in, at the center of all of this? I might have done right. Maybe I'm using a bank app and the bank is accountable to the regulator, and their system is also not compromised in any way. But using the network, how secure is that?
I'll tell you one thing. No person working in security wants to be asked that question. Because I could literally say we're fully secure right now, and I'd walk out this building and something online could be going saying we have MTN's data. That's kind of the world that we're living in. I think we've seen so many even bigger corporates than your Uber, your SolarWinds, big corporates that have been infiltrated. So I think I think the security risk has maturity, and our approach to it as mobile operators, I think, is definitely improving. I think Deepo touched on the regulator space, which has greatly contributed. And I think with the fact that looking at our market in Eswatini, for instance, I think we're getting there slowly but surely. But it's still worrying to see some companies which do not have a presence for someone looking at information security. It sort of makes you feel like maybe we're going backwards, we're not moving at the speed you want to see. But I think we're getting there. And I think one thing that we need to be cognizant of is for mobile operators, where we sort of sit at the foundational base of most things, we have a lot of partners. For instance, we allow you to use some of the USSDs, Standard Bank own, FNB own, So our security is also their security, and their security is our security. So if Standard Bank maybe is affected one way or the other, we might be affected by that as well. So just going back to how difficult it is to answer that question with giving guarantees of some sort, but I think the way and the outlook and how we are approaching security as mobile operators and as MTN Eswatini, I think we're doing a lot of investments to try and work at that. I think if you look at maybe 5 years back and where we are today, there's a lot. I'd count so many things. People would think I'm advertising MTN, but I think we are doing quite a lot in that space. I think if I do say so myself, we're one of the leaders in the market with regards to information security and ensuring that we strengthen the network and make sure that it's impenetrable. But as I'm saying, we have to work together on this. MTN cannot shine alone. Eswatini Mobile cannot do that alone. Standard Bank cannot do that alone. So we have to ensure that, to the point that we have to be strict about who we integrate with as MTN. We need to be thoroughly convinced that whoever we're integrating with is not going to be the loophole, because there's a lot at stake. There's a lot of stake. Data, just the operations of the network. If you have one of our systems or where everybody connects to go down for 10 minutes, it's definitely felt by the entire country. So it's those things. You find that some transactions can't go through, people can't bank. There's just a lot that is relying on us to really up our game.
So absolutely, you're going back to what we've been saying, that collaboration is the new competition. You know, nobody's a standalone now. There's so many possible entryways for an attack that could affect everyone. So MTN alone strengthening their systems is not enough. Everyone else is in the value chain should also strengthen their system. I'm going to go back to Nokuthula here, and there's a question from the audience that I want to bring to you, but it's similar to what we've been speaking about, you know, all along. And we have a viewer that says, what measures are you doing to regulate data protection of organizations regarding cloud computing? There's a lot of cloud being spoken about, and this person must be an expert, because they're saying, for example, most company emails are hosted on M365, which is Microsoft 365, yet we don't know where the data center is located.
Okay, it's a pretty difficult one, because the Act actually came into law this year. So we are setting up the office. So I think December 1, you'll start hearing more about data protection. So there is a lot, and I would encourage companies and businesses to start reading the Act in preparation for what is going to come. So we are still at, setting up and making sure that the structures that need to be there are there, and ensuring that we are going to be able to regulate. And at the same time, we have to give time for businesses to actually comply to acts like that. So there'll be a lot of consultations, and we'll be talking to everyone, businesses, or data processors. We will be talking to them, and so there will be back and forth, and a lot of meetings. So please stay tuned and watch that space. We are going to start regulating that.
Absolutely, and as Angela was saying earlier, it's always a work in progress in this space. Your security yesterday might not be good enough today. So we're constantly working and constantly iterating and finding solutions. So I know for a fact that what you're saying, we'll be on the lookout, because I'm gaining so much interest now in cybersecurity. And I hope the viewers at home as well. I hope you are getting interest as well, because there's a lot that is at stake even for us as individuals. There's a lot at stake here. I'll bring you back, Nokuthula, to social media. And I'll bring it back to social media, because that's where we live now. I mean, right now we are beaming this live on social media, and I'd love to just know the exposures we have, as consumers and as users of social media, and as far as security is concerned, as we interact and as we use all of these platforms, what should we know about security while using them?
Use these platforms, I would encourage everybody. It's something that we never pay attention to. Angati says it's a fine print, but please go to your preferences, your security preferences. Make sure you enable two-factor authentication. So I'll give you an example. During our launch, we had a demonstration, and then somebody hacked my Facebook account, and it was like there on screen with my password, because I hadn't enabled a two-factor authentication. So if somebody can easily do that, and he sent me an email, it was a phishing email, I just clicked on that thing, and then popped up, and now let's say I should log on, and it looked like Facebook. It looked like a Facebook authentic logon, and I logged on, captured my password there and there. So it is that easy. So you need to go to the settings. People think security is this complicated thing, but there is a regulation that all these platforms adhere to. I say Europe, where they've tried to make it easy, and the language easy for me and you to understand, so that our one two-factor authentication, there is usually an explanation of what it is. There is usually an explanation of what each setting is all about. So please check my settings akho, because that's your responsibility. There's so much that Facebook can do to make it itself secure. Now you have a role to play. So really on social media, we have a huge role to play ensuring that security is on point.
Thank you. If you don't know what two-factor authentication is, go online where you live, Google that thing, find out what it is, and then implement it. It's life-saving because there's so much going on in our social media platforms. We're speaking to so many people, we're doing so many things, and we don't want that to go live for everyone to see. I know you know what I'm talking about. So let's get there. But also, we don't want our important and private data to go out to people. We don't want to lose. Some of us shop using some of these social media platforms. Some of you have your card information because maybe you're advertising your businesses on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. So if anybody has access to that, they have access to that information. So be cyber smart, and think about that. And thank you for the encouragement and for the ideas, Nokuthula. I'm going to bring Andile and Deepo back. Cybersecurity is obviously important. I mean, you were just saying, Andile, now that companies are investing more and more into that. And you were saying for those companies that don't have cybersecurity people or analysts or a department of cybersecurity, maybe it's time they invest in that. And chances are business people are watching here this evening and they'll be investing in that because they'll get more insights from this show and possibly from research as well. So am I right to say it's a critical skill in the future? I think so. I think it's a critical skill in the future, and there's young people watching us today who are hearing this for the first time and saying, what is cybersecurity and what are the different careers in cybersecurity? And if there are there any learning opportunities that exist at this point, around cybersecurity that you know about as experts, or that you can even give as ideas to young people on where to study, what to study? I think they already know the why, at this point. I'll start with you, Deepo.
Thanks for bringing that up. I think you recall when I was doing the intro, I spoke about developing now of people. One, if you look at the growing technology-based industries, cybersecurity ranks in the top 3. I think in one, I forget the source, but it lists Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, then cybersecurity in a list of 14. I think at number 14 there was e-learning, which was an interesting aspect, and I agree with it because learning has gone online. Most learning is going online and has gone online, especially for our parts of the world. Maybe the first world has been there for quite some time. So then two, there is a reality that says in a study of Data Stand Squared, they're actually confirming that globally, including the first world, there is scarcity of skills, including governance, risk and control, including risk assessments and management, threat intelligence analysis, and that there are so many areas that are there as part of subsets of cybersecurity skills and areas. The blocker, there are 2 general blockers, and the one that I'll talk about is the expense or cost of training. It is quite hefty. You need to be deliberate, firstly as an individual, to try and invest in yourself. And I am seeing quite a number of people that are doing this or that training in cybersecurity, and quite a number of them are reaching out. We've become a little bit known in terms of us being in the, and that is a role at a personal level that I'm trying to play, that of advocacy and developing an industry or a profession. But the other thing, probably someone may ask a question: if there is so much scarcity, where are the jobs? Where are the adverts? Where are the adverts for the jobs of to enter into this industry? It then talks to what Andile was talking about. if we speak Standard Bank, Eswatini, am I satisfied of the number of resources that I have, and do I believe that I could do more, or we could do more with increased capacity in terms of bodies? Definitely, but there are governance and whatever issues that and limitations that organizations, and purely so limitations that organizations will have. But we've seen a shift. If you look at organizations 5 years ago, there were just a few organizations that had information security or cybersecurity or something types of resources. Today you can count, and I believe that it is growing. And from an advocacy point of view, organizations, I would encourage organizations to invest in these offices. One organization had a breach, and then 2 months down the line, it was advertising a post, information security management. I'm not saying you have to have a breach before you build the capacity, internal capacity. Our approach generally of all cybersecurity practitioners, it is either you have been hacked and you know about it, it is either you have been hacked and you don't know about it, or you have been hacked. And it is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And it's a matter of do you become aware and respond? Because one of the main things, and it's a challenge for cybersecurity practitioners, could have a moment of latency where there is no activity, and you have to keep on building and justifying the value to business. And business may ask you, why do we invest in you? Until you have an incident and you have to respond. And in those moments, you need to be preparing, Gutsi. Should I be attacked, or should there be a breach? How will I respond? And that determines how you bring back your services back and exist as a business.
It's like the fire and emergency services. There's no fire for 10 years and we're paying people, and then there's a big fire and you realize that you need them. Angelo, would you love to add anything on the skills development piece?
Yeah, I think we had a very interesting conversation with Deepo, which was a couple of months ago, regarding recruitment for information security people within the country. It was interesting to see that the same challenges we're facing, for instance, at MTN, are the same challenges they're facing a different environment elsewhere, and all of that. Mainly because I don't think we have done enough, or maybe I think we're still starting out. But I think we just need to do a lot more in terms of exposing a lot of our young generations towards cybersecurity or information security as the bigger picture is. And because I think how I got into information security was not intentional. I think through the different exposures within the different organizations I've worked at, I felt like this is what I wanted to do. And I decided to stick with that, even though maybe there were possible opportunities to move out. But I decided this is what I want to do because of how intriguing it is and how engaging it is. And I always owe that exposure back to one of the organizations I've worked for. And I feel like it's something that we have to be intentional about. For instance, I think organizations where could go back to universities and do something where we target a certain number of individuals that will expose to what information security is, even if it's a month, even if it's a week long something, even if it's however long it is. Well, it doesn't have to be something big, because corporates, we like to then go into our boardrooms and we plan for a year and then we don't do anything about it. But it's just that I think we can definitely do a lot better in terms of exposing, because what we do maybe is not an exact image of what people might think it is that we do. I think it's a lot more complex when you're behind you're in a corporate and then someone is telling you, hey, one of the servers are down, people can't buy airtime because of a cyber incident or because of a breach. It's totally different. You have so many moving parts to that. So it's a lot more complex. So I think it's just we need to expose people, and not just cybersecurity. I think even the different skills of the future as well. And another important component that I think that we need to start doing is actually using some of the different skills like your data analysis and bridging them and just having that combine and seeing how we can work together on that, your governance aspects from your IT general, whatever skills that we have to fuse together, because I think at this day and age, we need people who are very, very diverse maybe in their skills. So it's just not enough to have a degree and say you'll get the job. Everybody has the degree, but how are you bringing whatever and just fusing together the right sets of skills? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's coming back from both of you around we need to have a combination of skill set to be able to understand cybersecurity and the different threats that it comes with. So I guess my advice to young people out there would be to stay close to big companies like Standard Bank that are future ready and find out what the future skills that you need are, and then go out there and equip yourself. And then for corporates out there, look, let's go out and let's have conversations with the institutions of not only higher learning, but even primary school, high school. Let's go in, let's expose young people on what we do and what are the skills of the future because of what the outlook in our different businesses is, and let's be very intentional about it. Let's be conscious about it, in making the future generation ready for the future. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I think as we continue speaking, there's lots of questions coming up from our viewers around data protection right now, especially on the financial space. They're asking the regulator, what are you doing? They're asking MTN around solutions like mobile money and what are you doing in terms of security around that, especially around the festive season. So I know that we'll take some time and go into the comments section of all of our platforms and try and answer all of these questions because, as it stands right now, we are almost at the tail end of our conversation. I'd love for our guests, and our SMEs here to really just delve deep on some of the words of advice for people and don't hold back. We're going into the festive season now, and Tipo, you were saying earlier, cybersecurity shouldn't just be a focus of the month of November. It should be a focus of every day, in our lives. And we're going into peak season of the year 2022 now. We have an act that has been put in 2022 and so much work that is happening in as far as strengthening our systems. But what are the key takeaways that you want us to take home, this evening? And please, like I said, don't hold back. Like give us lo mgodla wonke ngicela uhambe empty namuhla. Ngiyathi sekuningi lesikushita but lo mgodla ngicela ukuthi uhambe empty. And all of the people that are watching this show this evening, we want them to go back and think I just went into a master class, on cybersecurity this evening, from a personal level, from a work perspective, from a business perspective, and I'm going to start with Tipo.
Thanks, Pilar. I will speak to people, but let me start with organizations. Most business leaders will agree that their future is in partnerships. And the partnerships are not just physical partnerships. It's partnerships where we partner digitally through, should I say, APIs. Let me give you a quick scenario. This time last year, if I'm not mistaken, when you had to pay your water bill using the Standard Bank platforms, you paid and then waited for a day or two before the transactions can be confirmed at water services level. But right now, you actually, before you pay, you actually confirm the bill or the amount that you need to pay, and then you receive an SMS from water services that says you've paid and this is your remaining balance. That tells you that there is an integration that is happening between Standard Bank and Eswatini Water Services Corporation. So because of that, what it means is that as Standard Bank, we are as much responsible of our own internal as we are to EWSC and vice versa. And Andile was talking about due diligence before we can engage in organization to organization. So there are two approaches to cyber security by organizations. Exclude yourself so that you are safe from everyone else, but unfortunately you are limiting your growth and you won't grow. And X number of years down the line you will not be existing. Or accept that this is the future, but you have to do something on your side as much as everyone else have to do something on your side. It goes back again to the collaboration. It goes back again to the secure practices of running our organizations, as well as developing and partnerships and that. At the end of the day, all of us doing business, there is some aspect of customer data that we have. If I go to a retail shop, of course, my interaction with that is the card belongs to the bank. But lolongale, because there is an exchange of value. Kukhona information that they will retain. Of course, it's information that just appropriate for them to confirm that value. But they are holding on to that piece of information, and that piece of information on their side should not be lost. We have that responsibility because exposure of that piece of information may impact the customer account with his or her bank. So that is at a corporate or organizational level. And I know, Gutsi, as young people, there is a lot of activity that is happening to try and establish businesses and entities, and that is what they should think, and that is where they should think. And for their organizations to survive, investment has to be made into those integrations and platforms. There is a program that is being run by Bo Andile, developer potential solutions that will attach to mobile money, that is where we are going, and it is now beginning to unlock that potential of the youth. But at an individual level, again, I have as much responsibility as the organization I give information to. What is my responsibility to me and my family with my online presence? What information do I give out? January. How many of us are going to show pictures of our new kids going to their new schools, taking them bundle of joy and giving out all of that information? Usa St. Mark's, sisuke ezulwini, usa St. Mark's, uphuma nga-2, sengimlandzile, sengibuyele, asisekho ezulwini, sesikamanzini, next week sesijos. How much of that information do we give out? Because look at it from a cyber point of view, but also look at it from a physical security point of view. I've told you I'm checking in AOR, I'm going to London. I'll be gone for 2 weeks. It actually says there is no one in my physical base. Try to limit as much as possible information that you release on social media about a lot of personal information. Let us share jokes, let us greet each other, because that is where we meet. Let us share opportunities if there are opportunities, but as much as we possibly can, there is a lot of information that we need to keep and hold. Noktula was talking about 2FA and that. Without abusing the platform, in September I took a very uncomfortable space coming this side of the year. I started doing short videos, trying to demo and talk about Meta cybersecurity, which I post on TikTok. One part of the things that I've done from a demo point of view is to demonstrate how to enable 2FA, go Twitter, go TikTok, go Facebook, go Gmail, and that, because I mean it is one step that does a lot of significant work to try and protect you. There are a lot of Facebook, Instagram accounts that are being stolen. It is a real story, and there are so many people that have done the thing, and their accounts are stolen. They are not in charge of those accounts. You had said I should not hold anything back.
Manbarao, take it literally. Thank you very much, Tipo. Noktula, very quickly to wrap up, and then Andile.
From me, as a regulator, there is so much that we're doing, and Gutabane Cyber Security Emergency Response Team Unit, which will help the country coordinate incidents of cyber security. For an example, nangabe kwendekile washaywa Standard Bank, so tawukhona ku-reporta kithi ukuthi okay thina sishayiwe. We're not going to obviously release that information, but at the same time it informs us of ukuthi okay singeMaswati, what are we basically facing as challenges in the cyberspace. And then there's something that I wanted to add when you were talking about careers in cybersecurity. Excuse me. So my careers in cybersecurity, it's quite interesting now. The world has kind of changed. It's not me, the technical person, anymore. Gunabo cyber law, for an example. So noma ungummeli unale LLB yakho, you can still divert and go into that. Ukhona marketing. I don't know if you're in marketing, yatanza kuluma. You can go into cybersecurity awareness, for an example, because that's your strength. You just need to know a couple of technical terms or controls or whatever about cybersecurity, and then you can fly. Business. I'm giving you ideas. So there is so much that young people can do. I need to have done IT. I need to have had EBS. You have limits. Nam limits torture. I think I ngenda 6 or 7 modules in 1 year. So it was torture. So it discourages people from actually venturing into that space. And I'm here and I'm encouraging everyone. It is possible. It doesn't matter ukuthi ukuphi wenda ini lo cybersecurity. So long as you can talk, you can go into that space. So I'm just encouraging people to just explore.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for that. The young people who can talk, you've been encouraged. Andile.
All right. I think briefly, Deepa said a lot of what I wanted to say. But maybe the one key thing that we always say is that security is everybody's responsibility. And I just want to maybe unpack that a little bit in my understanding. I think as a customer, Momo, for instance, when we say security is your responsibility, I think you have a right as the customer to come to MTN and actually warn MTN of a potential exposure, for instance, that you've noticed within the app. I think that's how I interpret security is your responsibility. Because if we are breached as MTN, what if it's your wallet that they'll just take? What if you're a big business, you've got loads of money in that wallet? So I just want to encourage people to actually start thinking about these things, security related, in wherever we are. I think when we had started the political unrest, at some point on the roads they were taking our ID numbers and whatnot, and those are the things you need to start thinking about. Where's my data going? Why do you want this data? Why do you want this? Why do you want that? How are you protecting that? I think these are questions as customers that we should be asking, and we should really get to the bottom of it, not just divulge information that might come and bite us at the end. So I just want to say, I think the cyber hygiene and responsibility is everybody's, and we have to start now.
Absolutely. Tipo, Noktula, and Andile, thank you very much. I think we've proven tonight that really time flies when you're having fun. We cannot exhaust the subject of cybersecurity and its awareness in just 1 hour, but I think we've been encouraged, we've been challenged, and now we will think about it even more. So I hope we can engage with some of our SMEs on social media and get more information, research and get more information on cybersecurity. But it has been the 6th edition of the Blue Table Talks, brought to you by Standard Bank Eswatini, and we have spoken about all things cybersecurity, and hopefully the awareness has been raised. My name is Pilar Dlamini, my friends call me PhD, and it's been an absolutely amazing evening with you. Have a fantastic evening, and thank you for tuning in.